And with that music, Studio 720, one of our amazing Prince George bands, we're live. And we are here with who, Dave?
Meg Keir. She's the owner of the Adventure Bus, which is a local get your butt out of your chair and go hike up a mountain or to a creek or stuff. I actually don't know everything you do, so we're going to discover that today.
And a relatively new venture into entrepreneurship for you, opening up a business, and I'm looking forward to getting into that conversation. Before we do, where are you from, and how did you end up in Prince George?
So, born in Vancouver, moved to the Okanagan when I was quite young, and then back to Vancouver, and then up to Prince George about 7 years ago. So, yeah.
So what brought you here?
A love. Yeah. A relationship. So the relationship is no more, but Prince George definitely sucked me in. So, yeah. At first I was like, I don't like it here. Like, why did I move here? It's really cold. I remember my dad saying, you don't want to move there. Like, you're not allowed to move there. It's minus 30. And of course I was like, oh, whatever. Dad, shut up. Like, I can do what I want. And I came here and I was like, oh, okay. It's cold.
And your dad's in Vancouver?
He's in the Okanagan now, but yeah, was in Vancouver. So
that's funny how it's minus 30 there. Like, it's minus 30 all year.
Yeah. Oh, that's what people think.
We get the 1 week per year that it actually gets that cold.
Yeah.
So you have a husband now too, though, don't you? Or
yeah.
Live-in boyfriend. What's his name? Who is he?
James. Yeah. So met him almost 2 years ago, and he's now co-owner, adventure partner. So it's been amazing to find somebody that you're actually interested in the same things. So we spend most of our time hiking together.
And before you met him, you took on the role of general manager at Good Life Fitness in Prince George. What was that experience like?
It was amazing. Like, I met the most amazing people. It made me feel like I had a home here. The experiences were amazing. It was hard. Like, managing is not really the funnest job in the world. It comes with a lot of good, like growing people and leading and developing and learning, all amazing. Dealing with some of the managerial duties, not my strong suit, so.
I wasn't a great customer. I know. I always had an opinion or something we had to fix. That's me as a customer. I'm like, you know what we need to do? Yeah. I got an idea. And I remember you looking at me. I vividly remember you looking at me and going, okay, Dave, what's up now?
During your time at Good Life, can you identify some of the highlights of that career? Because you were in that role for some time, correct?
Yeah, a few years almost. I think it's just growing, like, as a human being and as a leader. And meeting you, honestly, was a huge part of that. You talked me into so many crazy things, right? So, and then networking together and then running the that Get Active campaign that we did, right? Like, that was amazing, right? Raising all that money for Spin for Kids and for the Good Life Kids Foundation. Absolutely love that. So I think that would probably be the highlight for sure. And most of the people that are there are still, like, my best friends now. So it's really shaped who I am and a big part of my life. So, yeah.
I actually was curious, before you got to Good Life, what were you doing? Like, were you in fitness then too?
Yeah, so I took my group fitness certification at the Y a few years prior, and then I really knew. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I never wanted to have like a 9-to-5 desk job. I always wanted to do something weird, if it was like traveling and training and teaching. So I did that, and then I was trying to find places to teach, so I went into Good Life. Just got on at the front desk there just to get in. I was like, I'll start working so I can meet people, get a free membership. And then I just slowly moved up and became the general manager, and yeah.
How many years were you there?
I think almost 4 altogether, yeah.
Well, becoming the general manager in 4 years is actually pretty quick, though.
Yeah. The divisional manager and I just hit it off, and I was super passionate. Like, I came to work every day after I was working. Like, I worked at Fortis BC in the call center. So I would work there and hated my job and hated my life. And I would just go to Good Life just super stoked to be like, I'm here around people that are healthy and happy. And yeah, so I showed that every time I came to work. And I had the experience as a personal trainer and a group fitness manager or a group fitness instructor. And then once the position popped up, and one of the roles within general manager was group fitness manager, which was something I was super interested in. So luckily I got the position, and yeah.
Well, there's a lot of parallels to what you're doing now as an entrepreneur to what you're doing as a general manager of Good Life Fitness Prince George, in terms of you get witness people become a better version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, whether they're stepping into that gym for the first time or joining
mm-hmm.
one of your adventure tours, they might not have an incredibly high level of confidence.
Absolutely, yeah.
What has it been like to work with people in both regards, and starting with Good Life Fitness, to just see people start to where they can end up, and how much confidence they develop and build on along the way?
Mm-hmm. I think that's probably like my driving force, and that was why I loved being a group fitness instructor, was purely just because of the connections you make with the people. And then that was why I was passionate about the fitness industry, was because it felt like to me like a tool to do good, right? So you're helping people almost in a way of like preventative medicine, right? You're not sitting with them in a hospital pumping them full of medication. Not saying that that's the way that it has to go sometimes, but I wanted to try and help people before they potentially reached that point. And yeah, to see people's confidence grow, and to be a supportive person too, right? Like you don't want to be, it needs to be inclusive and it needs to be supportive. And so to be able to demonstrate that and be that way with people, it definitely helps, right? So
I'm really hearing that you loved the job, you were passionate about it, you loved going to work.
Yeah.
And so you quit.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense?
It was hard. Like, it wasn't an easy decision. Like, I loved the position. I loved going to work every day in yoga pants and music's going and you're having like wicked conversations most of the time. But the pandemic hit and my health wasn't so great. We'd had some tragedy in our family, and it definitely, I think, for a lot of people made us reevaluate like our lives and what was important, right? So I was struggling with a lot of the stress, like I said, with the managerial aspect. Like, I don't like writing people up. I don't like people being mad at me when it's out of my control. And just some difficult situations that arose in that position. And the stress was just getting to me. So I was working with a different outdoor company prior while I was still full-time managing Good Life, and that's what like re-sparked it. I knew like this is what I want to do. So then once the pandemic hit, I wanted to go and work outdoors full-time instead of go back to my desk.
So tell our listeners and our watchers exactly what happened after you left your position at Good Life.
So I had actually quit to work for a different company. And so that all kind of fell apart. So I had to kind of pretty quickly put together a different business because I'd already left Good Life to pursue a position in the outdoor tourism industry. So I put everything together, had friends helping me with the website, friends helping me with the logo, and then the restrictions increased because remember during the summer how it kind of felt like life was normal for a little bit?
Almost.
How many days did we go in a row without a new COVID case?
Yeah, it was
right?
months.
Like, I think it was close to 90 days, Andrew?
89, 90 days.
Yeah, around 90 days. So I remember everyone was very lax.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was like, we're good to go. Like, I'm pumped. And then November hit and the restrictions increased and it was like standstill, right? So that was devastating. How much
have you invested at that point? So you start a new business, just to be clear. You have to go out and do what to start it? What did you put into this business?
Well, there's business licenses, there's permits, there's insurance, there's gear. I bought a flippin' 15-passenger van.
Right.
Website design, logo design, merch. Like, I did things that I definitely didn't need to because I'm a little bit crazy. Like, I didn't need to buy stickers and merchandise super fast, but I also understand the power of branding, right? So I wanted that to be something that I did right away, and I thankfully had the financial ability to do that because I'd had some savings. I sold my home, I sold my vehicle, all to
do this.
Yeah.
What about your husband? What's he doing during this?
So he's a heavy duty mechanic for Can4, but he helps me with all the guiding.
So he's still working though.
He still is.
Oh, that's why you're alive still.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Actually, I was curious. I'm like hoping we're not adding a GoFundMe to the end of this podcast.
I like how you casually say, I had some savings, and then mention, but I sold my car and I sold my house.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no impulse control, I've discovered, and I'm just running with it. So it seems to be working out for me,
But let's talk about those restrictions, because those came around fall of 2020.
Yeah.
Like, how did that impact your business and just your own mental health as an entrepreneur?
Mental health, it was not good. Like, it was devastating because there's things that just start ticking by, like your insurance. That's pretty expensive for an outdoor adventure company, and you can't put a pause on it. So these months are going by when I'm now losing money. I have no way to repay this or to retain anything. So And then just not being able to get outside with people, and then people messaging. And a lot of people were amazing and understood that we had to cancel, but I also had those people that were really devastated because we are that outlet for them. And that was really hard as well, right? So
as a new business, and all of a sudden you're turning away clients and going through with cancellations for individuals that may have already signed up, that's not easy at all. And how did you persevere during that stage, which wasn't that long ago?
Yeah, I don't know. I drank a lot of beer for like a few weeks. Yeah. And then I just kind of got over it, and I was like, well, I'm going to use this time, right? Like, so it gave us time to go and pre-trip and explore and work on the website and kind of start thinking of what we want to do in the future. And tried to make the most out of it. And then thankfully we did get in touch with someone from Northern Health who was like, no, you guys do need to be operating, and had to look at our COVID plan again. And thankfully we started running again in early January.
So what's changed? Actually, there's two things I think that are really important before we leave this, because we're on your business currently.
Yeah.
A lot of people won't even know what you do. We've just said adventure bus and said you like hiking, but what do you guys do?
Yeah, so local hikes, so guided local hikes, snowshoes, and backcountry camping this summer.
Okay, and so that's it right now on the menu. Is there future plans? Because I saw you got some wilderness survival training or first aid training.
Adventure Smart, yeah. So we want to do custom tours, but we have to wait till we can do that, till people can hang out again, right? Right now it's same household for tours. So like we have a staycation package. I'm doing one next weekend, and so it's a husband and wife, so I can transport them in the vehicle and we can go for a hike. But right now it's just groups meet up at the trailhead. Everybody has to maintain their distance, wear a mask while they're getting ready, and then we go out for the hike or for the snowshoe. So it's pretty limited right now.
You know what? That's what I've been doing, hiking with a variety of different people, but we just take separate vehicles, and haven't had any flack from that. So I was curious, have you had any flack from people yourself?
Yeah.
Where people see you saying, okay, we're out, we're doing this. Are you marketing it, or are you trying to do it quietly?
So I did have to market it, obviously, to let people know we were open again, and I've had nothing but amazing response. Behind the scenes, is there people that are saying things without our knowledge? Probably, I'm sure. I'm sure there is. But we have had no like messages or emails or Facebook comments, nothing. Like, people have just been super positive, which I'm super thankful for.
Isn't it interesting how this digital space, primarily social media, that you use as a platform to advertise your services as a company, there's also going to be that smaller minority where there are critics, and it doesn't matter what you do. I was sledding with my daughter on a ski hill, not a ski hill, a sledding hill at a school that probably has a 30-degree incline. And the first two comments were people getting mad that we weren't wearing helmets sledding. Yeah. And so there's always going to be those critics out there. Oh. How do you, as a company, how do you deal with that noise?
I haven't had to, thankfully. I definitely have some tools in my toolbox from working at Good Life. We got a lot of critics and a lot of noise at Good Life, obviously. We haven't. So I just feel like being transparent is key, and I'll doing things with integrity and doing things properly really is all you can do. And then if someone has something to say, I wouldn't honestly engage, because there would be no point, right? So
are you guys going to be doing things aside from the hikes? Like, is you have planned in the summer when we reopen, like, are you going to do the Bowron Lake Chains guided, or are you going to do canoeing or paddleboarding around various places? Yeah,
absolutely. So one thing we're going to focus on is backpacking trips. So like Raven Lake, Fang Mountain, Grizzly Den to Raven Lake. So we've posted 3 registrations already, and those are going pretty well. And then we're going to do lots of like local paddles. And then I know Kim from Babe Born to Board.
Yep.
Yeah, so she's like a local paddle boarder, so she's going to run some flat to flow workshops for us, because that's something we don't have certifications in. So we don't have like swiftwater rescue and paddling certs, so we know what we don't know, and we go to the experts in that field. So
partner with them and pull them in, though, because a lot of these people aren't running a business, but they'd be willing to do one trip. You book them and you're just...
And then we use our base, right? And then they're stoked to have something else. So
And there's a lot of characteristic similarities between Kimberly and you, where she has some of these standout paddleboarding courses
Yeah.
or seminars that she's done on the Chaco River and other areas. And just to see these individuals sign up for these courses and go through with them, and then they just feel on top of the world afterwards. Can you talk about some of the individuals that have signed up for your adventure tours and what it's like just seeing somebody that might know absolutely nothing about hiking or snowshoeing or where the best hikes and destinations might be? What's it like being able to showcase northern British Columbia and all the beauty that exists in this area to these people?
That's pretty amazing. I think like that's, again, like our driving force for sure. It'll always stick out in my head. Our first time we did Viking Ridge, this girl came and she was so nervous. She didn't want to go. Her cousin had signed her up, and then her cousin couldn't even come. And she was just like, I'm so nervous. I'm going to be like the least fit, and I'm going to be the slowest. And like, I've never done anything like this before. And she crushed it, and she did amazing. And it blew her confidence up, and now she comes on like many hikes. But we always talk about that because it was just such a rewarding feeling for both of us. Like it's flipping awesome when somebody gets to the top of something and they're like, I accomplished that, I can frickin' do this. Like that's wicked.
How do you handle that when you have like half the group is really fast? I mean, we struggle with that, and there's only 5
hard.
of us go, and then there's one person who's behind.
So
what do you guys do?
That's definitely a challenge, but that's why we always have 2 guides. So there always has to be one at the front, one in the back, and we carry radios to communicate. So that way, naturally, the group is going to get split up. So the faster people can go to the front, the back people don't have to feel rushed. They can enjoy the experience. So that's a huge help for sure. Yeah.
So that happened to us. We were made the news all over northern BC as the group going up Mount Pope, and we had Shannon, who was just a bit behind.
Yeah.
And I think they actually just stopped to pee. We were 1 kilometer from coming back to the truck.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay,
close.
we'll just keep walking. The 3 girls stopped to pee, and we're like, we'll just walk ahead and go down to the truck. And Shannon lifts her foot up to show her cleats to one of the other girls, but she's on an angle, and then she kind of falls, and she snapped her leg. 1 kilometer from the truck.
Yeah.
Took us 6 hours with search and rescue, backboards, to get her down to the truck. So what happens? You're at the top of Viking Ridge. I break my leg.
Yeah.
I'm 220 pounds, Meg. What are you doing with me?
Well,
what's the plan?
So first of all, the first thing you want to think about is your risk management plan. So that's the number one thing. So we hope that no one breaks their leg, because we travel the routes, we check the weather, we know the conditions. Like Fang, there's boulder fields. So let's say it's a cold day and it's been rainy and there's a chance that there's going to be a little bit of like ice or frost, we cancel the trip, right? So first of all, had I seen like the conditions were super icy, I probably would have said, Dave, we can't go up Mount Pope today, right? So something like that. But if you were to snap your leg at the top of Viking, then we have an SOS. So we carry a spot and an inReach, and then you have to call for help. So same thing, local search and rescue comes and gets you out. I don't think they'd be able to stretcher carry you all the way down, so then you'd have to probably call for an air ambulance.
Not from the top of Viking.
No. Then it's just our job to basically just make you comfortable, apply a splint if we need to, and then just make sure that you don't go into shock. So... yeah.
And we talked about the first 2 hikes that we mentioned, Viking Ridge and Fang Mountain, and I'll actually put on Mount Pope on that list. And those are some pretty tough hikes for the average person. One thing I really like seeing about the online engagement with your posts is the variety of different skill levels required or different hikes that you offer. So you'll have a lot of hikes and adventures just around Prince George, the vicinity. And some of these might be ideal for somebody that's looking to just get into hiking for the first time, where it's not going to be a straight hike up Fang Mountain where you're climbing for 16 kilometers over 8 hours. There might be a 4 to 5K moonlight hike or snowshoe that you offer. Can you talk about some of your favorite places in Prince George to offer these tours?
Like the smaller local ones? I mean, we hit a lot of like Pederney, Forest for the World. Like the trail network is insane back there. Where else do we go? Tabor Rec Trails is a great resource for lots of trails as well. We have like an Ichaco and Foothills Loop that's basically the bottom of Pederney. So yeah, we have a lot of amazing local trails. Ginter's, more Meadow, those are kind of well-known dog parks. But yeah, Forest for the World, I would say, and Pederney would be great places to start.
I've never done Pederney, that's funny.
No? Yeah, it's beautiful.
I live here, I've rode past it a billion times.
Really?
I've never gone down it. I'm
Check
like all
it
those
out.
crazy mountain bikers.
Yeah.
Whenever your next Pederney adventure tour is, this guy's
I'll
signing
call
up
you
right here.
Dave.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I would actually go and explore it. I like supporting small businesses, and I like hiking with people, right?
Yeah.
It's not a solitary activity for me. Solitary is my mountain bike. I can go do that alone and ride 40 kilometers after work alone, and I'm content.
Yeah.
But with hiking, I wouldn't want to hike for more than an hour alone. That's called going for a jog.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm like, this is boring. I want someone to tell my stories to.
Totally.
You're right. And during a time where here we are in late February of 2021, where a lot of people in our community and beyond are really struggling with mental health issues and just feeling alone and isolated. And I remember back to just over a year or just under a year ago when they were closing provincial parks. All provincial parks were closed in this province. And to me, that was just backwards thinking, because if anything, during a lockdown, we should have people that can go out to these big, beautiful mountains and actually be able to let off some steam by moving their body. And there's been
It was backwards.
I think it was a bit of a panic reaction, right? Nobody really knew what was going on, and they were just... But
I think that reaction's still happening. That's why I was kind of curious. People are still like, you shouldn't even be hiking with someone else. And I'm like, look, you're outdoors. Space yourselves 6 feet apart, 10 feet, which naturally happens as you're going up anyways. They've shown that's not how the virus transmits through the air. That's such a small amount of virus that even has the potential.
Yeah, I think the reason too that they're saying like no gatherings with people and why we're allowed to operate is because we are a business and we are in a sense a controlled environment, right? So we're not going to risk our business. So we're not hanging out with people after, where they think that if a group of friends just goes out, they may hang out after and gather, right? So we're there monitoring the spacing, making sure people have masks on and all that kind of stuff. So I can see where that comes from in regards to not wanting people to get out, but
there's this one gentleman that I run with every Friday. He's actually a mentor of mine, and every day he's outside participating in body movement, and he calls it meditation in motion, and that's his meditation. Because even during the 1800s, I was just researching before this podcast, there was doctors that would actually send out clinically depressed clients into the mountains to get some body movement in, some fresh air, to take in this nature therapy. And although there wasn't a lot of scientific recorded evidence before that, they noticed drastic improvements in a lot of their patients. And you must see that in the individuals that sign up for your tours, that you could start a tour, compare them by the time you start a tour and by the end of that hike, they could be a completely different person.
Oh, absolutely. I think we say this every time. We're like, you know what, like especially the local ones at night in the dark, you're kind of tired after work, you could sit on the couch. Every time we're like, man, we could have just sat on the couch, but we feel so good now that we came out and did this. Yeah, absolutely. And
it makes you want to take on more.
Oh, yeah.
Where if you see somebody that does their first hike, it might be Praderney or Forest for the World.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, what else is out there?
Absolutely.
What else can I accomplish? And that's a stepping stone. These community hikes, destinations, to taking on something larger, like one of the mountains out east.
Totally.
Yeah, well, you took me up Driscoll and turned me into an absolute raging beast.
All right.
I'm addicted. I have to hike every weekend now. Have to hike every weekend. But I think we should talk about Red Mountain, because like this is an unknown hike to most people. It's out Penny, BC. You got to drive 2 hours out to Penny to get there.
Yeah.
And you get there, and they've got a trail that goes basically 6 kilometers across the fields of Penny. And then you start going up the mountain. And I would equate it to doing Mount Pope. When you go up the 6 kilometers to the top of Red Mountain, it's gradual. It's not super steep. There's a couple steep sections, like maybe a kilometer worth. But you have to wear a pack because there's a cabin at the top.
Yeah.
So once you get up there, you've got a pack on. You're taking 40, 50 pounds of gear. So and that's 12 kilometers that you're hiking, but you back step if you're going in the snow. So you actually hike 13 and a half kilometers on your GPS because of stepping backwards. Mine was the same as yours. You told me it was 13 and a half. And you get up there and you've got to stay in this little cabin. I've done Viking Ridge, Fang Mountain, Driscoll multiple times. Sugar Bowl I thought was the hardest, even though it says Vikings harder.
No, I think Sugar Bowl is.
I thought Sugar Bowl was harder. I've done hard hikes. And Red Mountain with a pack on gassed me. Now, when we went, it was about -7. And we got to the top of that mountain and we were asleep at 6:30 p.m. So we got up there at 5:30, we ate food and went to bed at 6:30 p.m. Here's the thing for everybody listening. Meg went up there 1 week earlier at minus 30. And the whole hike up, all we did is say, how the F did those crazy bastards do this? So tell me about that hike.
It was, first I want to know though, how did you feel the next day? Were you sore?
No, not really, actually, because we hike so much.
Yeah.
Nothing makes me sore, really.
That's good.
We were fine. One of the people that went with us, her hips started to go out.
Yeah.
And that's never happened to her before. She was worried about her knee.
Yeah.
But we were worried we were going to have to carry her down.
Oh, gotcha.
And she actually had to go down the whole way. She's tough. Women are so much tougher than men.
Yeah.
Like, I would have said call search and rescue.
Yeah.
She walked by lifting one side of her body and flinging her foot forward.
Yeah.
And she did it the whole way down. So it took us a long time to get down into the truck, but she just kept going.
Yeah.
And is a beast. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
We just couldn't believe it. We just sat there ahead of her watching her just keep flinging her leg. But anyways, you did it at minus 30. I want to hear this.
It was hard. Like, it was miserable. It was the hardest thing probably that we've ever done, for sure. It was, you know how nothing's easy, right? So if, let's say it's summertime and you have your shorts on and you're feeling good. Well, this is like, you know, you have 3 jackets on. You're like just so uncomfortable. You can barely move. You want to like blow your nose or, I don't know, put on your glass. You can't wear glasses because then you're going to get fogged up from the face mask that you have on because you don't want to get frostbite. So it was just like nothing about it was easy. It was insane.
So
James
you weren't
swore at the mountain a few times. Yeah. Oh,
I'm so glad to hear this because I was like, if they're comfortable, I don't even want to go with them because they're obviously beasts.
Yeah, we got to like the kilometers seemed like pretty lengthy kilometers.
Oh yeah.
And when we got to kilometer 11, then we came around and there was another slight hill and James just lost it. Like he swore and just we had to take a moment there. We were done.
That's a really short one, though.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's leveling down.
Yeah, finally.
Doesn't that make the overall achievement that much sweeter and richer, though?
You never get there. Yeah, you never get there and you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. But I was asked about the day because we were so grateful to have that day to rest. Like, I can't imagine getting up there and then turning around the next day and having to come back.
Oh, yeah, we were up and left, but we knew there was a good chance that we were going to have to call search and rescue for Ange.
Oh, yeah.
So we left early so we'd have time.
Gotcha.
Like, her hip was out.
Oof, yeah.
So.
Wow, so after listening to these stories, there's going to be zero demand for people wanting to do Red Mountain.
No one's going to want to go,
But there is
just hard.
There is no better feeling than hitting when your head hits the pillow at night and you know that you're at absolute exhaustion because you put in the work to accomplish something. There's no better feeling.
Totally agree.
I think I probably lost 3 pounds in that cabin too, because that fire starts off kind of chilly and then overnight that cabin doesn't lose any heat. It was crazy, really efficient.
And for the listeners, you actually have to book that cabin in advance. Is
Yeah,
that how it
through
works?
the PG Backcountry Society.
Could you talk more about that organization? Because I myself don't know much about them, and I know that you did a post focusing on them just the other day, and it seems like it's a really great society.
Yeah, so they just focus on basically protecting the backcountry, right? So all the areas that are non-motorized. So they put through basically not programming, but I don't know too much exactly what they do, but they basically try and protect the land. They just put through a proposal to fix the bridge at Fang, right? So things like that. I think they want to build like a little bit of a bridge for Erg Mountain because it's not always super passable right now. So they're just really there to protect the backcountry and all non-motorized area around here. So
have you hiked Erg Mountain?
No, I haven't done that one yet.
I've heard good things about that one as well. The only caveat was that you actually have to like walk through knee-deep water or something to get to the trailhead.
Exactly, and we went to do it this summer, and the river was too high that we weren't prepared. Like if we had taken off our pants and had like a spare change of boots, we could have, but we weren't prepared for the river to be that high. So yeah.
I want to do a quick roundtable with all three of us, and I want to talk about 3 favorite hikes in northern BC. And actually, before we do that, what are we drinking, Meg?
Sobriety.
Sobriety.
So it's a delicious kombucha that's made here locally in Prince George.
Who makes it?
it's a girl, the proprietor, her name's Kayla. I just met her for the first time this morning when I purchased these. And locally owned, and she's raising money for the Spirit of the North Healthcare Foundation for every sale as well when you return your bottle. So it just seemed like a win-win combination. She's up at the Northern Sports Center with Cold Juicery, so that's where she's working right now and selling her product along with the Cold Juicery. So support local, another amazing entrepreneur. We're not getting paid.
Oh yeah, we have to disclose that nobody was paid. Did you buy those bottles?
We bought them. Yes,
Okay, you bought them. Okay, good.
So 3 favorite hikes, Meg. We're putting you on the spot.
Okay, 3 favorite. I'd say Driscoll, Fang, and Raven, just because it's like got to be a PG classic, I think.
Oh, all out east then.
Yeah.
That's
east,
amazing how when you head out east and you get the McGregor Mountain Range and the Rocky Mountains kind of working together in sync. Really
so
cool.
So pretty. You guys?
It's a miserable hike, but you've got to do Hedrick Lake.
Okay.
Is one of my favorites. I've done it 4 times. I have a buddy who used to be a guide out there, and he lived out there.
Oh, cool.
And so he took me out there in a pair of tennis shoes and no gear.
Yeah.
Because he said, I know the area so well. But it's about an 8-kilometer hike through, not very well marked. I'm not suggesting people do it unless you're experienced.
And this was a while ago.
Yeah, and know how to use a GPS because the trail disappears. But when you get into Hedrick Lake, it's 3 mountains that form a bowl with this lake, and the water is crystal clear, and there's massive fish in it. So we just kept catching fish and putting them back. And there's 2 beautiful cabins up there, which the local guide outfitter owns. So Hedrick Lake, definitely number 1. Driscoll is the best.
It's beautiful.
You can bang it out. It's super fun. Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
It's just like doing teapot 3 times.
Yeah.
Which, if you're stubborn, anybody can do.
Yeah, totally.
That's the key. Anybody can do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
A lot of people have explained Driscoll Ridge as it's like the ancient forest, but a hike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
totally.
exactly it. It's just leave the boardwalk in the ancient forest and go up a hill.
Yeah.
And so it might take you 2 hours instead of an hour, or 3 hours instead of 2 hours, but anybody can do it.
Have you ever gone past the main lookout? You know, where you get the extraordinary view? Have you kept on going up, either of you?
No.
So what is next? I heard there's a lake or something.
Yeah, it's not really, the reason we stopped there is because it's not worth it, honestly. So you go along, and then you have to side hill, which in the summer is just kind of miserable. Like, it's hard on your legs, it's hard on your body, and then you go down to a lake, which is not any better of a view, obviously. It's kind of pretty down there. And then you do climb up, but the view at the end is no better than the view at the lookout point that we stop at.
It's challenging when you get to that first lookout point and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's like a climax 2.5 or 3 kilometers in. It's hard to keep on going when there's not something more spectacular than
Exactly.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Third one, hands down, Fang Mountain.
It's crazy, hey? It's so beautiful.
And we went in fall, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, I think. It equates to what I saw when I was in Iceland a year and a half ago or 2 years ago now. Just raw beauty.
Yeah.
And that's Fang Mountain. I just couldn't believe the amount of flowers and the lakes, the crystal clear lakes just everywhere, like peppering the land. And then coming up and getting a view at the very, very top of the mountain ranges in every direction was...
Yeah. I know. I can't wait to go back up there. Yeah.
And that's a funny story because the 3 of us
ran into each other.
Yeah, we're all there together.
Yeah.
That's I think the first time that you were exposed to the adventure bus.
I had no idea what it was. I was like, what are all these women doing on Fang Mountain?
Oh yeah, that was our photo op spot. Ever. Yeah. That was awesome.
There was so many of you.
Yeah, that was a big group. That was one of our most popular ones for sure. We had a big wait list for that one as well. So we're going to throw that one on quite a few times this summer.
You know, seeing your group on the mountain though, every single person on that tour, the biggest smile on their face.
Yeah.
That was what I pictured. That's exactly what I thought. I saw all these people with you in a group, and all I thought was, I want to be part of that.
Oh, yay.
I was like, I'd love to be with that group because that looked just so much fun. Like, that's right up my alley. So if you're listening...
You're trying to switch groups?
You're like,
He's like, my crew sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, we hustled. Don't get me wrong. I still wanted to beat you guys. I was like, we got to get ahead of them because everything's a race, including non-races. Somehow I'll turn it into a race. But you did look like you were having an awesome time. I was envious of that.
And here's a question, Meg. How many of those women that were on your tour that day would have gone and done that by themselves?
Oh, I mean, I don't think any of them,
Exactly.
right? So, yeah.
What you're doing is you're providing confidence and knowledge to these individuals who are taking something like this on for the first time, but also something that they never do on their own time or might not have the ability or the resources to do.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Especially during a time where people are locked up in their own houses, they're being told not to leave, not to interact with anybody, and you're providing these memorable experiences, showing off the beauty of northern British Columbia and the numerous hikes and experiences that exist out there. Powerful.
Yeah.
On that note, when we were at the top of Fang Mountain, we ran into a grizzly bear.
Yeah.
We were eating lunch with our backs looking over the valley. Scott goes up behind us, up just a little bit further up to a different peak, looks behind us, and there's a grizzly about 150 yards, just like 10 feet behind us, and then down the hill, 150 yards, munching away on the side of the mountain. There's a big, massive grizzly.
Yeah.
And Scott comes down and he's like, there's a grizzly. Within, that bear could run to us in probably 2 to 3 seconds. 2 to 3 seconds, the bear's at us.
Yeah.
And that's when it dawned upon me. I'm like, oh my God, we have nothing to deal with this except some pepper to make ourselves taste better.
Yeah.
Like, that's all pepper spray does to a grizzly.
Yeah, yeah.
What are you doing for those people that are hiking with you about grizzlies?
Yeah, so one of the best reasons to go with the group is obviously you have a less of a chance of having a grizzly encounter or any kind of animal life encounter, just because you're a big group and you're talking and you're making noise, right? So there's safety in numbers. That's one of the reasons that we didn't venture farther, because we knew there was a grizzly hanging around in the area. So you do want to avoid, if you know there's something there, you don't want to walk into its territory. But we do have pepper spray, bear bangers. We don't really believe in bear bells. They just kind of annoy everybody, especially if 10 people have bear bells on their backpacks. But yeah, if you do see a grizzly, you just want to remain calm. Don't run away screaming, and just, make yourself big and just stay calm and be loud. And they don't usually want to attack you, but if they try to, really the only thing that you can do is play dead. So drop to the ground, keep your backpack on, and throw your hands over your neck to protect.
I'm taking a shotgun this year. I'm now carrying this after Fang. If I do summer hikes, I have a Defender and pepper spray and bear bangers.
Easier said than done, hey? Like, play dead. Could you imagine a grizzly bear's just tossing you around? You're like, I'm just going to not
Just
move
play
and,
dead,
and be stable.
Do you know why that is? Because they don't like to eat fresh meat. So
bury
once
you.
they think you're dead, they'll just scrape some leaves and dirt on top
just
of
leave
you
ya.
and leave you.
And then with the black bear, you just want to make yourself
You
look
fight.
as big
Yeah.
and
Fight.
you have to
Yeah.
fight
You
back.
fight.
Like,
Fight
have
to
start
the death.
throwing-
Yeah.
Fight till you're dead, because they're going to eat you right now.
Yeah. What other kind of, have you ran into any kind of wildlife that made a little bit of a tension?
Not really, honestly. These trails were so used too this summer. Like, there's a lot of people,
Yeah.
right? So I think the only time we ran into a caribou, which was kind of cool up at Longworth this winter.
Nice.
But other than that, no, we haven't had any run-ins.
What have you run into this year?
Well, the grizzly was definitely takes the cake in terms of the most memorable. But yeah, we run into the moose, a ton of deer. I've never seen caribou. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty
I would
cool.
love to see a wolverine.
I saw a wolverine this year.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
In the fall. Yep. We saw a wolverine for like 2 whole seconds.
Yeah.
With Perry 80, my buddy Dylan's dad. I was out hiking and hunting with them, and a wolverine walked right in front of us and then
Cool.
looked at us and then shot into the trees. And a wolf
Nice.
right on the road.
Which is very rare.
Yeah. I've only seen 2 wolves in my entire life. One driving to McBride and it ran across the highway, and then this one.
Cool.
On a dirt road. We saw a wolf.
I think Matt Porteous, who has another awesome podcast. If anybody's looking for great podcasts, check out Matt Talks Back. In his recent podcast interview with Brian Skaken, Brian has all of his trail cams around Prince George, and so he gets to see a lot of cool wildlife. But Matt was talking about a story when he was driving towards Terrace, and this big, huge wolf along the Skeena, which is a very narrow highway, this big, huge wolf runs across the highway. And Matt was saying he thought it was a werewolf. It was so substantial in size that he was just blown away. And Rob Bryce, who you've probably seen one of his many hiking books, I used to work up on UMBC campus with him. He said the one animal he's never seen in the wild before around Prince George is a wolf. Like,
There's lots of them though.
yeah,
Cool.
but he's got
They just
footage.
avoid us like the plague.
He's got footage of cougars and bobcats and lynx. And
Nice.
isn't it just a wild concept thinking like there's these big, beautiful wild cats just like roaming in the area? My brother-in-law saw a cougar at the Hart Ski Hill, like in the Hart, within city limits.
Crazy.
A cougar. right? Nothing like Vancouver Island where they're ubiquitous, but
now every adventure bus fan is sitting here going,
I'm terrified.
Maybe I don't want to hike. So just to be clear, we're out every single weekend, and out of all three of us being out every weekend, we saw one wolverine for 2 seconds, and we've seen one wolf.
Yes, and a grizzly.
And one grizzly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hiking every weekend because everything runs away.
Yeah.
We are safe in a big group, but there was only 3 of us. We were still small enough that we were lunch.
Yeah.
And that is another benefit to the group hiking scenario, right? Is the protection from certain wildlife that it would be a different story, say, if you're hiking solo or if it was just a couple hiking, right? And you have a large group of people, you are more intimidating to wildlife.
Well, and two people will often be quiet. You'll stop talking. You just have breaks from chatting. And now you're hiking quietly. But in a large group of 12, I doubt there's too many moments of silence until you stop and take a break, and then people will all kind of naturally get quiet for a second just to observe nature. But you're right, that would be fairly well protected.
Yeah.
3 favorite hikes. I'm going to go with Mount Murray as number 1. A very cool
in the
one.
Pine Pass?
Yeah, in the Pine Pass.
Yeah, that's got to be one of my favorites,
I know you did that as well. It's been a few years since you did that, Dave.
2009.
Right? Yeah, because I remember when I was heading out there, you said that you did that almost a decade or over a decade ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was my divorce hike.
Oh, nice.
My first divorce hike.
Yeah. That's a good way to celebrate a divorce.
Your second divorce hike was a series of hikes. Like you had an epic season of hiking. So you're making your way up.
Nothing deals with mental anguish better than being outside. I completely resonate with what you're saying. If you are listening and you are having any mental struggles, well, I'm a financial advisor who just went through a global economic collapse. I'm going through a divorce. My mother-in-law passed away. Like, I had everything happen. And so it was like, it would have been very easy just to drink more and more and more. But I started hiking, and I gotta say, there's nothing that I could wait for or look forward to more than the weekend now to start hiking. Something that I dreaded, something that was exhausting, and you do it once a year, and now I literally wait all week quivering, waiting to go. And I don't know what the change is, but
life-changing, I don't know.
Once you start, you just have to start and do it a couple times and get past the sore part, and then it's so addictive.
And it's a high that's long lasting too, right? Like if you finish a great weekend of hiking or a hike on a Sunday, that high perpetuates into the next week. And in other areas of your life, you start performing well. And like you said, the anticipation of your next hike, that keeps that high going. And I look at, like Dave said, just start with a basic hike that you're offering, Meg, where it's in city limits. It might be a few kilometers in length, and that will be a nice stepping stone to get out to some of these other hikes that we mentioned. I still owe you 2 more on my list. Number 2 would be Mount Terry Fox, which is extraordinarily difficult. We didn't make it to the summit, and we hiked for almost 10 hours.
That's crazy.
And this was in July. We ran into hail, into rain, into 27-degree sunshine, into sleet, you name it. Every weather pattern available, and that's just located in Valemount, which is like the Switzerland of Canada. It's just
so
beautiful. Yeah. And number 3, I don't know if this would qualify as northern BC, more central BC, but Trophy Mountain, which is in Wells Gray Provincial Park.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of actually like Mount Murray up by the Pine Pass a lot, very similar. And just a very enjoyable hike where it probably takes about 5 kilometers to get to this massive meadow where you have in every direction views of all of the mountain ranges in the area. And Wells Gray Provincial Park is unreal for being 5.5 hours away.
Are you going to do tours there, do you think? Are you going to take people out to areas like that?
So to be able to guide in provincial parks, you actually have to have permits. And so you have to really focus on which parks that you want to guide in and which ones you want to apply for permits, right? Because you got to make your money back. And then also if there's any parks that already have a lot of guiding companies, they're not going to keep issuing park permits. So the ones we applied for were the Driscoll Ridge Range, so Ancient Forest, Sugar Bowl, Grizzly Den, and Evanoff. So that's really going to be our focus this summer, is to trying to do as many tours and getting to know that land as well as possible.
Well, Evanoff's Hedrick, isn't it? That's close to the Edge Provincial Park.
Yeah, so Evanoff really is quite like Fangs in it, but the McGregor Range, like the farm, that's not in the park limit. So we can still do like if let's say we didn't have our permits, we could still take people to the farm. It wouldn't matter. But if we wanted to go and take a group and charge money for that service, then we have to have a provincial park permit.
Well, when you want to do Hedrick, you ask me to come, and I'll take you guys on the Hedrick Trail. Because I've done it 5 times.
Make sure
I'll do that one with you.
Make sure everyone packs their running shoes, right?
Yeah.
Now I own
tennis shoes
gear.
only.
The blisters I had
were
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Your just feet had to get wet. You go through a couple swamps on that one.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's like super low on the list of elevation. 250 meters elevation gain on Hedrick, and I thought it was the toughest hike in the world. It's just 8 kilometers of walking along the edge of a mountain.
That sounds cool, though.
And in.
What does the permit application process look like?
It's crazy, for sure. It's like any other kind of government hoop that you have to jump through, right? So you have to have like an emergency action plan. You have to have your wilderness first aid certifications. You have to have a certain amount of insurance for liability. And then you have to, we did it a few months ago, but it's just a lengthy process of paperwork basically that you got to fill out, and then they review it. The park warden reviews it. And then obviously we have to work with local native bands to get their approval as well. So
how much does my family get paid if I die hiking with you?
I don't want to think about that. That's horrible.
This is, I work in life insurance. I'm curious. What is your insurance worth?
I'm curious. Have you had any people that have moved up to the north from Vancouver or any other major metropolitan areas that are just in awe of everything this region has to offer in terms of pure beauty, space, mountains, next to nobody around? Because you get a lot of these people that grew up in a city full of light pollution and a concrete jungle and just miles and miles and miles of asphalt, that you come up to Prince George, you can actually see the stars.
Yeah.
Have you had those kind of feedback from groups?
Honestly, that just sounds like me. Like, that's why I fell in love with it up here, right? I was like, this is amazing. But it's mostly locals. Like, we haven't had a lot of people that are new to Prince George, but actually next week I have a couple that I'm taking to Driscoll, and they've moved up from the city, so I'm super stoked to show them. So I think that's going to be an awesome day.
I feel like you should be on Tourism Prince George and Move Up Prince George payroll for advertising Prince George as a destination to move, and I'm very serious. Because you can put any sponsored campaign together that you want, showing a family sitting in a park smiling, that doesn't resonate with anybody. But when you start showing off what you can do in Prince George in terms of adventures and excursions, that could be a driving force in a future decision to actually move up north from the lower mainland.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, I love showing PG off. It's freaking beautiful. So, yeah.
Meg, I think, I don't know what questions you have left, but what I would like to say is I look forward to, I said this before, joining you on some hikes and getting out with you guys. I meant it about the Hedrick Lake thing. I'd love to show you guys that one, because you'll really like that and take clients there guaranteed.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, actually, I just want to talk about some of your upcoming hikes.
Okay.
Because we're going to be able to air this within 24 hours. Andrew does a good job of getting it up right away. So tell us about what you have coming up through the pipeline and how people can actually sign up for these.
Awesome.
Good question.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. So through our website right now, we have a booking platform through there. So it's pretty easy breezy. You just go, you click which hike you want to do, you buy your ticket, and then we send you the email and the medical form and the waiver and all that kind of stuff.
That's adventurebus.com?
Yeah, www.theadventurebustours.com. Obviously, there's a link through our Instagram and our Facebook page as well. We don't really have, I think there might be a couple local hikes, and I think we have some space on a Driscoll Ridge one, but pretty much everything is completely sold out. So that's the one issue that we're facing right now, is that people are going to the site and we don't have anything because we're sold out.
So do you do custom tours? If I were to contact you saying, I'd love to go to Driscoll Ridge, and we're looking for these potential dates, would you be able to form a custom tour for
right
customers?
now for household only, which is hard. I've had to turn away quite a few people that were looking for, like, my group of girlfriends want to come and we want to do this, and I'm not able to host people if they're not from the same household in like that kind of hangout tour, only same household. We will be posting a lot more. It's also that weird kind of swing season where we're waiting for the snow to melt, right? So obviously the snowpack's a lot less down like within the city this winter. So hopefully the local trails, like the in-town trails, will be able to access like April and May, but the Alpine will still be soggy and wet like Viking was until like August, I think, right? So Yeah, just.
And if people are looking to get an idea of like what your tours look like, I just want to say you do a phenomenal job, both your husband and you, of being able to showcase your hikes after they happen.
Thanks.
And that's both on Facebook and Instagram?
Yes.
And what are your handles?
The Instagram is at the.adventure.bus, and then Facebook is at the Adventure Bus Tours.
Great. And so for anybody looking for inspiration or just to see what you offer, they can go on there and you'll have photos from the majority of your excursions, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're going to get some training from me on how to make short little videos?
Yeah. I know, Dave. You should make videos. I like keeping some things kind of like elusive and secretive, you know? But, yeah.
I like my videos. It gives people a good context of what the Red Mountain hike's like.
Yeah.
As they go through.
I do like that idea for sure. We've made some GoPro videos like before. I haven't actually done one in a while. So, yeah.
It's a sledder thing.
Yeah.
Sledders make videos.
Yeah.
Because you got to be able to show the action.
Gotcha.
Picture doesn't do it for sledding.
Yeah.
But you give good commentary too, right?
Yeah, the commentary is hilarious.
I saw the Red Mountain video and you're giving commentary for each stage, which I feel like Red Mountain, like I watched the full video and I was like, okay, now I know how to prepare for this, which was very valuable.
I think it looked a little easier than in my video.
You didn't mention that Ange's hip
I
was
did.
almost left on top
I
of
did
the
say,
mountain.
there's Ange on the ground. And she was on the ground massaging her hip, but I didn't want to call her out looking like a wimp.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we were swearing at some points. I remember looking back at those guys and going, what the hell did we get ourselves into? And then it would be immediately be followed by, how the hell did Meg do this? It said that.
Yeah.
I guarantee we said that
30,
10 times on that hike. 10 times we cursed your name, saying they did it at minus 30 and I feel so weak now as a human being. But I'm so glad you said it was the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes!
Yeah. Yeah, it was freaking hard.
How many actual tours do you think you've done, like since your company started to where we are today?
Oh gosh.
Estimate.
Maybe 100, maybe.
Wow, so you are in triple digits then, probably.
Yeah.
Do you have any standout memories from any of these trips, like something funny that happened, or even just a special memory, and maybe somebody got engaged or something cool?
Geez, nothing that cool yet.
Oh, but now that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's honestly just the little moments. It's like those people getting to the top that are just like they're just, this is amazing. We see the trail. We do it. Like I'll probably have done Driscoll 12 times by the time the summer's here. And every time it's different because every time I get to see it through someone else's eyes and it's epic. That is amazing. Yeah.
It's very similar to having somebody visit Prince George that may have never been here before, or it's been a substantial amount of time since their last visit. It makes you appreciate in a way what we have to offer, whether you bring them to the winery or you bring them for a walk through Cottonwood Park. Or if you might just bring them to one of our great restaurants like Chimo's, it's an opportunity to actually like feel like a tourist in your own city. And it's no different when you're providing your tours, because when you see the look in somebody's eyes when they get to that lookout point at Teapot Mountain for the first time, and knowing that if it wasn't for your company and for your team, they may have never done that in their life, does it get any more rewarding than that?
No. Like it doesn't. That's why I quit my job, and I'm not in it for the money. I don't think any guide is in it for the money. It's because we love it. Like I want to do this for the rest of my life and meet as many people as I possibly can, because it is literally the most rewarding thing.
That's amazing. So what does the next 5 years look like then for the Adventure Bus?
Oh man, we just want to get through the pandemic, honestly. Of course, like my brain, I have all these ideas of like where I'd like to go with it and what we'd like to do, but for now, just get through. We want to keep things affordable for people and accessible to people. I would like to start some kind of program on the side, helping people that couldn't maybe afford to come hiking or couldn't afford the gear, some kind of program to be able to reach those people and give them the opportunity to come out on some trips.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, that's something that I'm super passionate about. So I will always want to use what we do for good, whether I was with Good Life or here. Like I feel like we have the ability potentially, so I want to somehow figure that out, and then just to hire a couple people too, like give some other guy, like there's just not opportunities in this community, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, we're just adapting and we're growing. The tourism industry and the outdoor industry is growing and booming, and we don't have any other company like this in Prince George. So to be able to give some guides that have gone through the schooling and have certification, employment or mentoring opportunities would be amazing as well.
Good answer.
Yeah.
We should probably finish with some kind of Canadian type question, since we are called the Crazy Damn Canadians podcast. So maybe we can just switch it for a bit. I'll start. What's your favorite Canadian city?
Gosh. I love Wells. Like Wells down by Barkerville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Have you done the Groundhog Lake hike there?
Yeah.
That's a
Yes.
good
Yeah,
one,
I did
right?
the 7 Summits bike and hike like years ago. We had to conquer 7 summits with a mountain bike and a hike, and that was freaking horrible too. Yeah.
And there's hundreds of kilometers
Oh, it's beautiful.
of terrain out there. Like, you've probably been snowmobiling
Oh yeah,
out
I
there, right?
snowmobile out there every weekend, and
Yeah.
I've quadded from Prince George to Wells.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Wicked trip.
Yeah.
That's got to be like
Yeah.
what, 7 or 8 hours?
Yeah, it was about 8 hours.
That's cool.
Case of beer.
Yeah.
I was quadding back then. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why hiking is a lot better.
Right?
You actually
Quadding
burn
in
calories.
Yeah,
beer, it's
yeah.
like you just get fat being out in the bush. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you
Just
can earn
roll
your
home.
beer hiking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody's taking a beer hiking
Yeah.
anymore. I know some people that do crack
Yeah.
one at the top. I, after following Scots tradition, take turtles. I take a
Oh,
turtle
nice.
and I eat a chocolate turtle at the
Yeah.
top every time.
Yeah,
Nice.
mine's Skittles.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I always
Skittles.
have
You're
a little bit of
your
candy. I
turtles,
bring
yeah.
turtles
Yeah.
for everybody. Everybody gets a turtle when they get to the top.
Nice.
With me.
Nice
I
having
like
that.
The
that.
Adventure Bus needs something
We should have some.
that you should make it your thing when you get to the top, and everyone holds their thing up and eats it. It's the celebration. It's
Yeah.
the treat.
Love
Try to
that.
do it. It's
Yeah.
a wicked little ceremony.
I do
that
like
we do, and
that.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Little treat. Yeah.
I love it.
Create that tradition.
Yeah. Who's your
That's
favorite
something to
Canadian?
challenge.
Oh gosh. My favorite.
What Canadian inspires you?
What Canadian inspires me? Gosh, guys, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Well, think about it. There's a few Canadians, and you have to be like, "Oh, that person was amazing."
I know, but
Could be an athlete, an actor, a
Singer,
doctor,
politician.
philanthropist.
Just don't say you're a Trudeau fan.
Why do people hate Trudeau
Too
so
many
much?
corruption cases. I liked him. I voted for him, but 3 corruption cases, and you tank a $1 billion charity that's helping kids around the world because you don't think to disclose. No, I'm done with him. Fire him. He's done.
Yeah.
Because he's corrupt. I support the party. I support helping people. He's corrupt. Get rid of him. That's it. You 3 strikes, you're out.
Interesting.
Get me ranting. Poor.
yeah,
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I just did.
Let's go on to what is one province outside of British Columbia that you absolutely love?
I just love BC so much. I've been to Alberta a bit, and I've been out to Toronto and Ontario. I guess Alberta would be,
Yeah. Have you
There's
been down
Canmore
to
and-
Banff area and
yeah.
Canmore?
So it's beautiful there,
Very
right?
similar to BC,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I always thought, how cool would it be they have these Grand Fondo bike races. They have them all over the world. They've never had one in northern or central British Columbia before. Imagine having, and they're usually a couple 100 kilometers long. Imagine, say, starting at the ancient forest and going all the way through the Rocky Mountain Trench into McBride, into the Robson Valley. You hang that right at Valemont, or right at that junction. You head through Mount Robson into Jasper. Wouldn't that be the
It'd be
most amazing Grand
beautiful.
Fondo
Be a beautiful
ever?
ride.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it get any better
I'd like
than that?
Alberta if you could get rid of the Albertans.
Yeah. Yeah. I just,
Great idea. Great idea.
That was a joke.
yeah,
if you're from
yeah,
Alberta,
yeah.
that was a joke.
Of course, yeah. It's just beautiful there. There's parts of it that are beautiful, and then parts not so much. Like, I couldn't live with the flat land and the no trees. Like,
Yeah.
BC is breathtaking.
You need mountains.
You can't,
When you're from the mountains,
Yeah.
it's like being near water and then going to live in a desert.
yeah,
You just,
can't do it.
mountains are home.
Yeah. Well, who are your guys' favorite Canadians?
I'll let Dave answer that one first.
I have, like, when I was a kid, people talked about Terry Fox, and
Yeah.
that's, I could guarantee that's
Yeah.
one of Scott's heroes too, but he was a hero. And then shortly after that, a fellow named Rick Hansen. Do you know who he
yeah,
is?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, Rick Hansen was another inspiring story. And actually, next week, I'll be talking to him
Nice.
on this podcast.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
super excited about that.
Fantastic.
Nervous as all heck.
Yeah, that'll be awesome, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. As of right now, my favorite Canadian is probably Kayla, the proprietor of
So
Sobriety,
good, hey?
because this stuff is absolutely freaking amazing. So if you live in Prince George or northern British Columbia, I would definitely recommend trying this for sure.
Nice.
So cheers.
Cheers,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks for being here, Meg. Really
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Meg.
Oh, thanks, Dave.
And
Thanks,
shout out to
Scott.
Shirley Bond. Still the best local Prince George human being.
It's a good shout out.
Yep.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Cue the Studio 720.
Brr, brr, brr.